What do Kylie Jenner, Jake Paul, and Mr. Beast have in common? Sure, they have millions and millions of followers, but they have also all launched brands that have failed spectacularly. Being an influencer or having a massive following does not guarantee business success. There is a ton of work that goes into building a successful brand, and influencer marketing alone is not enough. Influencers can take your brands to new heights, but as you saw in the examples that I gave, there are influencers with millions of followers who've launched products and they have not worked. So what goes wrong? In this video, I'm gonna dive into reasons why you should not do influencer marketing and try figuring out something else in your business first. Sometimes it happens that brands that are somewhat in the early stages that do not have some of these fundamental things about their business figured out, they try to think influencer marketing is gonna fix their problems, but in 2-3 months they find out it's just not working. So let's dive in, and I'm gonna show you the 6 reasons why you should not try influencer marketing for your brand. The first reason why you should not try influencer marketing is if you have not achieved product market fit. If you're a brand new product in the market, trying to do something new that's not relatively common, like say a supplement or a beauty brand, do not try to scale with influencers or reach out to influencers if you do not have product market fit yet. You should look at signals like, do you have a predictable channel of marketing? And we'll get there, right? Number 2, are people actually promoting you naturally? Are customers promoting your product by posting on socials? Are they leaving great reviews on socials? Remember, no amount of influence can fix a product that is not ready for the market. And as founders, as entrepreneurs, it's hard for us to digest the fact that maybe our product is just not there yet. Sometimes it is, and it is in your best interest and your company's best interest if you do not do influencer marketing and just focus on making a really, really good product, because everything else will become easier. Then influencers are going to like your product, they're going to share more organically, get customers sharing your product, and so on and so forth. Once you do that, focus on scaling with influencers. So that's number 1. You do not have PMF, do not try to scale it forcefully with influencer marketing. Second channel, we touched upon this a little bit, is if you have not figured out at least one other marketing channel before. Again, remember, there's been some really good, fantastic launch stories with influencer marketing. In general, there are many brands that have launched with influencers and seen success. Graza is a really good example. We've written a blog on breaking down their strategy. Even on SARAL, there have been brands that have launched using influencers and done well, but those are usually exceptions. Now, if you have not figured out at least one marketing channel, which is most likely in direct to consumer, if that's not figured out yet, do not do influencer marketing. And I say that not because influencer marketing will not work for you, but because it takes time. It is a channel that's gonna take 6 months of dedicated, focused effort for you to crack it, for it to become like a consistent sales driver for your brand. But if you don't have another channel to back up, to cover for the time that it takes to build an influencer channel, you're very likely just gonna give up in month 2 because you have tens of thousands of dollars in sales and you're just not there yet. So make sure you have at least one marketing channel, which is also a sign of product market fit. If you can't crack Facebook ads or Google ads or one of these paid media channels, which get you in front of like the most highest intent buyers, maybe you should not focus on influencer marketing right now until you figure out paid marketing first. Number 3, the third reason that we see brands sometimes fail at influencer marketing is if they do not have their inventory sorted. So a lot of the times where we were working with a brand and they got influencers are interested, but they got no inventory, right? They've got no supplies to send to the influencer, and they realize this in retrospect is like, hey, we have some issues with our supplier, our factory went down, supply chain issues, blah, blah, blah. If you do not have inventory in your factory right now, in your warehouse right now to send to influencers, do not try to reach out to influencers like, hey, I'm gonna get inventory in like 3 weeks and I'll ship it to them. No, the interest is gonna die down. This is a momentum game. You want to ship products out as fast as possible to creators. If you're gonna have inventory issues, you've had them before, you can't send out like, at least 50 additional products per month to influencers. Don't focus on influencer marketing. Fix the inventory issues first. Also, like another thing is if you see a sales spike due to influencers, can you fulfill that, right? So let's make sure that you have your inventory in order. This is one of the reasons why we've seen brands fail at influencer marketing and they end up quitting, right? And I don't want you to do that. Number 4, and this is interesting, is if you have a low average order value or a very high cost of goods. Why am I saying that? If you have a low AOV product, it's hard to incentivize influencers. How do you give a commission on a $20 product? Even if you give like a 20% commission, like it's hard. It's like nobody's gonna post about you for $4. That doesn't work. If you have a $200 AOV, then if you give a 20% commission, that is a $40 commission, which is very, very interesting and compelling to creators. But if you have a cheap product, you have a low AOV, focus on some other organic channels of growth instead of focusing on influencer marketing, because very likely you're gonna find it very hard to make a compelling creator offer. You're gonna find it hard to pay influencers up front. You're gonna find it hard to give any sort of decent affiliate compensation. Second point in like point 4 is if you have a very high cost of goods, you cannot send hundreds of products out to influencers, right? So it's just not possible to build a seeding program. If your cost of goods is high, you can resort to some other strategies with influencers, like a gifting program where you send a free product and and they post about you in exchange for the product, no commission. If you have a $500 bag, you can just send it to creators and they're going to post about you because that's such a high value product. And you've struck gold. If you have a high value product with low cost of goods, then you can just scale that insanely high. But if your COGS is very, very high, you're not going to be able to scale. So some of our brands, for instance, we have some furniture brands on SARAL and their cost of goods is like $500. They can't just be sending their 100 chairs out every single month. So what do? They build like a exchange program where they say, we send you a free gift, you post about us. But if you're new to this and your COGS is high, you're going to see some struggle. You're going to have to spend some time figuring out how to incentivize creators and how to make sure that you're not just spending a lot of money sending free product out. So those are two things to be wary of. If you have a high cost of goods or if you have a low average order value, you need to figure something else out before you get after and start scaling your influencer effort. Number 5 is if you operate in a very, very regulated industry. So alcohol, sexual wellness, these are regulated industries. I'm sure you face issues advertising on Meta and TikTok, but even with influencers, it's tough. It's tough to get people to talk about like sexual wellness. It's tough to get people to share alcohol. Now you can always find niches that are really, really good, but if you operate in one of these highly regulated niches, think before you dive into influencer marketing. Do some research, figure out if there are influencers who promote you, start a SARAL free trial, run some tests out, see if there are enough influencers that promote your type of product, because a lot of the times we see that especially in alcohol and some of these other industries, it's hard to find influencers to promote you who can openly talk about stuff like that. So if you're that, I recommend give it a shot, because influencer marketing can be a really big unlock for you. That aside, it's going to be tough. So if you're in a regulated industry, make sure that you're running some tests, trying a free platform like SARAL, testing things out, and you're spending some time figuring things out, because you can get demotivated if you don't find influencers. So reach out to us, let us know. It's not impossible to crack it, but it is tricky. Number 6, and the final reason, this is probably like number 1 reason why we see brands fail, is if you cannot invest the time and money required into building your program. Influencer marketing is not a set it and forget it strategy, right? It's a relationship driven game. You have to be at it. You have to do the volume. You have to respond to creators. You have to ship products consistently. You have to make sure that you're following up to get the post. You have to make sure that they're incentivized right. You have to pay them out. It is a very active income channel. It's not passive income. A lot of people think influencers are going to post about us and I can somehow automate the whole thing. And it is possible to automate some of the boring parts, but it is still intensive. It is your time's going to go into it. Somebody on your team has to focus on it for at least 10 hours a week. If you can't do that, if you don't have that time, if you're like a solo person team, do not consider doing influencer marketing. Focus on something else that is relatively more automated, like say a Facebook or a TikTok ad. And then once you have some time and money and maybe you can hire a person, you could hire a VA. At SARAL, we can help you hire someone who can do this for you. But if you do not personally have the time to devote to this and you don't have someone on the team who can spend time doing influencer marketing, consider building another channel. You don't want to focus, because influencer is a very, very time intensive channel. You have to do it for at least 3 months consistently to see some results. That's that. Those are the 6 reasons why you should not try influencer marketing. Now, if you've covered all of this, if all of this is like, hey, I've taken care of all of this, then what you should do is you should consider signing on to SARAL, build a solid foundation for your influencer program, start reaching out to influencers. I'll leave a link in the description so you can get that trial offer, and then I'll see you in the next week's video. Bye-bye.